चलते हैं तो बताइए।
Am I audible?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, Atif. You are audible, and we probably have to wait a couple more minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes before we start, because students join on last minute. So, thoda bahut to, we'll have to.
No, it's good.
How are you doing today?
Good. We are in midst of our annual Diwali Dussehra sale, so fairly hectic for us, but yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's in some ways good. Good for Flipkart, definitely. So. So you are based in Hyderabad, right?
No, based in Bangalore.
You are based in Bangalore. Okay. I see. Okay. We have, I think, Professor Naushad Malik also on from, Jamia here.
Assalamualaikum Asim Sahab. Assalamualaikum Atif Sahab.
Walaikum Assalam.
So I think students from both Jamia and AMU will join. The number varies as a function of the topic and various random factors that are difficult to predict despite all expertise in data science. So
Very right.
So what we'll see. Dr. Rahila Farooqi has also joined. You probably know her, Atif Saab. She is originally from AMU.
No, I've never met her, but
We are also from AMU. I also did my MBA in 81-83 from AMU.
okay.
Assalamualaikum, Professor Farooqi.
जी वालेकुम सलाम वालेकुम सलाम.
Yeah, we are waiting for a few more minutes for more students to join, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then Atif is going to start the presentation. If you have anything to share with the students, you can go ahead and share before Atif begins. Okay.
Atif, you passed in 2002 batch, right?
2004.
4. Okay. So I passed in 97. Quite senior to you.
This entire ecosystem is, and the connections between the two universities is actually amazing in
Yes.
so many ways.
Great to see you that you're doing so well. Mashallah. Congratulations. I'm sure the students are going to learn a lot.
Yeah, so I think we are at 11:03. Maybe we should just start. So the way it works, Atif, is that a couple of students or one student basically has the job of introducing you to the others. So I think Jagriti has
Yes, sir.
is here, and she is the one who's going to do that. And then throughout the presentation, we try to encourage students to ask questions. So after every 10-15 minutes, if you want to somehow sort of, give them an opportunity to ask questions, that would be wonderful. And also, again, for the students, it is very difficult to get people of this caliber to come and present. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to interact with Atif Umar. And so make sure that, you take this opportunity, ask meaningful questions, and benefit from this interaction. Okay. So Jagriti, I think I'm going to, pass it on to you, and it is your responsibility from now onwards.
Yes,
Give
sir.
me a second. 1 minute, Jack.
Okay.
Sure, sir.
You can start, Jack.
Okay. Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone present in India, and good morning, everyone present in the United States. I am Jagriti, and I am a student of MBA International Business from Jamia Millia Islamia, and I welcome you all to this event. So today, among us, we have Mr. Syed Atif Umar, sir. He is the Senior Director, Head of Category Design, Marketplace and Planning, Analytics at Flipkart, India. And he is based in Bangalore. So a bit about Atif sir's journey. Atif sir started his journey of success from Aligarh Muslim University. He did his BTech in electrical engineering there. He then went on to pursue MBA in finance from Aligarh Muslim University itself. Prior to working at Flipkart, Atif sir has been working around 9 years with the Citi Group. There he headed the data science and next generation lab for Citi's global decision management in Bangalore. He has also worked in GE, Barclays, and American Express. He has more than 18 years of experience in data science, analytics, and business strategy. Atif sir is passionate about technology, digital and decision sciences, and artificial intelligence. Atif sir has also worked across geographies and helped many organizations build their analytical capabilities and analytical capabilities in India. So apart from this magnificent professional career, Atif sir is also a long distance runner. A sub 3-hour marathon, he was the fastest Indian at the Boston Marathon. And he is also a member of the advisor of the Mount Carmel College. So this is the bit about the journey of Atif sir. And we all welcome you here, sir. And we would like to hear your kind words now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jagriti. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. I
Thank
hope
you,
to
sir.
those words. So, just to add on, my journey, career journey has largely been in consumer analytics, whether it is banks or e-commerce and retail. what I have done most of my life is to understand what
There is a, it is difficult to hear you. And seems to
Sir,
be,
voice is cracking.
yeah, voices.
hello, is it any better now?
Yeah, it is better now. Yes, definitely. Yes.
My
But we continue to have, I think it is on and off. One second. Yeah. Go ahead. And if there is any issue, I'll try to reach you on WhatsApp to.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, I mean, my career journey has largely been about the consumer analytics space, understanding what consumers want from in an organization, whether it's product or services, and helping customers interact better with an organization, make it good for the customers, and whatever is good for customers is good for the organization. So today, what we'll do is we'll take a simple thing. I'm sure, given that you are one generation or probably 1.5 generation ahead of me, you probably all of us would have shopped on e-commerce. And what role can data science or artificial intelligence take in making the experience better for consumers in an online world? So that's probably what we will discuss. I'm sharing my screen, so let me know if you guys can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir, it's visible.
Okay, so as I said, this Jagrati has already covered this. What we will do is take a view of very high level view of how shopping experience online versus the physical world is, and then talk about a little bit about what again at a very high level what data science or machine learning can do to make this experience online much better for customers. We'll talk a little bit about personalization, about how each customer in an online world can be given personal attention and made to feel as if the app or the online space is designed for him or her. We'll talk a little bit about other pieces, and then maybe we can also discuss about how to build careers in analytics, things that are from a skill set perspective, from a mindset perspective, what are important, and what enables success in this area. Okay. And feel free to engage, interact. I will also ask questions, but feel free to stop me or engage wherever you feel you need to understand a little bit deeper. So at a very high level, this is my interpretation. We can also discuss about. Sorry, yeah, you were saying something?
No, I think it was a mistake. Go ahead, please. Sorry, it won't happen again.
Sure. So this is my interpretation of how the physical world or offline retail versus an online retail works. Broadly, this is what consumers say, but you might have slightly different opinions, so take it with a pinch of salt. What works well in a physical world is everything that you buy, you have the ability to touch, feel, you can talk, explain preferences well to the person who is selling it to you. There is an instant gratification. You are in a store, you're buying a t-shirt, you immediately get that. You also can look at things while you're walking the aisle. Another piece which is very important to some extent, again, maybe modern trade does not allow negotiation on price, but a lot of traditional retail, if you go to a bazaar in any city in India, there is some scope for negotiating, and that gives you a personal satisfaction. If you looked at a piece of cloth and it was for 500 rupees and you are able to negotiate it down to 450, you feel very good. You feel as if you have earned that 50 rupees, which in both modern trade as well as online world, while their absolute prices are much lower, but whatever it is, you cannot further negotiate it down. Even trying out, of course, one big thing about the physical world is you can try it out, you can think about it, and this. Whereas on the online world, what is good? See, one of the biggest advantages of the online world is the ability to have a huge selection. If you go to, say, a physical store and ask for jeans, you will get, say, maybe 20, 30, 40 jeans, maybe 100 if it's a big store. In an online world, the list could be in thousands or multitude. So the amount of selection that you can get for each search that you have is huge. No offline retailer can compete with that. You can browse very quickly. For an online offline world, in a physical retailer, if I have to ask for 20 jeans, it will take me much more longer to go through that. Whether it's a modern trend like a Shoppers Stop, I have to shift through the aisles, or if it is a traditional retailer, I have to ask for the color, for things like that. So browsing is much faster. Nobody's judging you per se. Of course, data science enables that someone is always judging and looking at your data. But when a customer comes online, you can add 20 products on cart, and then at the end of the session just delete them. Nobody says that. But imagine in a physical retailer, you ask the customer, the retailer to pack the product, 4 products, and then immediately say, no, I'm not buying. The experience will be a little difficult. You will hesitate doing that. Which essentially is easier in online. You can return, nobody asks you questions, things are much simpler. Another big advantage is it is available at your comfort in your home 24/7. You don't need to bother about store opening times, store closing times, things like that. Whatever is, of course, if you look at this 2x2 matrix, whatever works in physical world is a challenge in the online world, and vice versa. As I said, online has huge selection, so physical world has a selection problem, pricing problem. Browsing or trying to look at multiple products is slower. Returns are difficult. You have to go back. You have to convince the retailer why it is not. They will try to convince you this is the right thing, it fits well, things like that. And of course, commute time. What doesn't work well in an online is, again, lack of touch and feel. Sometimes, see, while if you go and in an online world, in an online portal, filters and searches are much more intuitive now. But still, I mean, no matter how sharply you tell Google or an Amazon about what you are looking for, saying that in that many words to a retailer is much simpler. You can exactly tell, I want mujhe Levi's ki low flare, no flare jeans chahiye, blue color. That's very, very easy to communicate. Now, translating that into an online filter will take a little bit longer. Which essentially, the moment things become cumbersome, the experience drops. And whenever the experience drops, engagement drops. So that's it. Again, instant gratification is not there, while online world is now working very, very fast to reduce the turnaround times. There are models today where you can get products within 90 minutes of ordering. In fact, if you look at what Swiggy is doing in India in some of the metros, is the Instacart promises a 30-minute delivery, just like a pizza delivery for groceries and others. Even mobile phones today, both Amazon and Flipkart are delivering within 90 minutes of some mobile phones. So we are coming closer, but it's still not instant. Another problem with the online world is what looks the color and the size that looks on the portal sometimes does not exactly translate into how it comes out. I mean, the colors could be brighter online, whereas they don't look like. So those are things which make the online experience a little bit cumbersome. Okay, any questions here before I move on? Okay, so just again talking about why online is growing. Of course, these are the four broad reasons. The first three are more the reasons why e-commerce is there, but the fourth one is what we will talk a little bit more about. As I said, online, the biggest advantage is convenience, 24/7 operations. Any online store, and I mean today, an Amazon would be 100 times bigger than Shoppers Stop. So with scale, the ability for Amazon to pass on that benefit of economies of scale increases. The Flipkart is 1,000 times bigger than say any grocer or any mobile say retailer in an offline world. So the ability for Flipkart to offer some of that benefit to customers is huge, and consumers, especially in India, but more so across the world, are very value driven. Whether irrespective of the affluence bucket you are, value is very appreciated by every customer segment. And then, of course, with the internet speeds going up, with technology, with smartphones, robotics, etc., everything has helped the online world grow much faster. One thing that does not come across very apparently to a common shopper online is personalization and the ability to really know what you are looking for also has helped online e-commerce bloom. You can see simple things like you search something on Myntra or an Amazon and online, and the moment you go back to any website, whether it's BPC, whether it's Instagram, whether you will start seeing the same being pushed to you. That is a simple example of personalization. An offline retailer can never do that. Online is much more, because one, they're looking at data in a huge way, and they also have the ability to use that data and reach back to you when you need it, what you need it, depending on that. And that has helped online grow much faster. We'll talk a little bit about this and how we sort of look at personalization across various points of a consumer's shopping journey. But first, let's clear some concepts. I have taken the liberty of assuming that a lot of you would not know too much about analytics or data science. So I'll just give you a small primer of that before we move. I thought it's important to give a brief of what data science is before we sort of bring data science and personalization together. So again, a lot of you would be aware about the, how do I say, data is exploding. I mean, data per se is not exploding. The data was always there. Storage has become very easy, both for structured data as well as unstructured data. And with the storage becoming more and more cheaper, internet speeds becoming more and more cheaper, our ability to both store data and move data from one person to the other has become very economical. And this is just to give you a sense of the magnitude of things that happen in our world add another 500 million or so searches on Google, 6 billion searches happen every day. Imagine, it's almost one search per human being. That's the magnitude. More than 300 million pictures uploaded in Facebook. I was just reading an article. Instagram is now already overtaken Facebook on this in terms of photographs and reels. So you probably can understand how big the Facebook overall family is. Amazon fulfills 17 million orders every day. That's huge. Um, um, then look at the number of cab drives. And again, the last one, of course, is just to give you a sense of the use of data, the use of technology in moving money. Citibank every day moves $4 trillion here and there. That's more than the size of Indian economy. And that's just one bank. You can imagine. And each transaction requires a lot of authentication, a lot of safety, security, things like that, which I mean, I recollect my student days. It used to take 3 or 4 days for one check to get cleared. When it was a local check, and my parents used to live in Bahrain, their check used to take more than 3 weeks to clear. So you can imagine the amount of efficiency and speed that data storage and internet democratization has brought in. Okay, so now what happens is, with this huge amount of data, our ability to know what consumers are looking at, what their preferences are, increases, because the more, how do I say, the more number of times an event happens, the easier it is to find a pattern. That's the law of large numbers, and that's probably, I mean, if you see me having lunch maybe twice a year, you will not know what I like. But if you see me having lunch every day through the year, you will know on Fridays I like biryani, on Sundays I like. You will be able to. It is not rocket science to do that. That exactly is what data science does. It looks at a huge swath of data for a long period of time and comes out with patterns. That is essentially what is the essence of machine learning or artificial intelligence. It just uses data to predict and optimize recommendations for users. Just like the human brain does. As I said, if you see me having 365 meals every day of the year, you will have a very strong view of what I like, how I like. Our in general, our spouses, our mothers, they know our culinary preferences very well. How is that? Because they have seen us over years, and that's their human brain very easily understanding what I will like. The same activity that a human brain does at scale on data, which is, say, 1,000,000 times bigger than one sample, is what machine learning does. And that's the simplest explanation I could think about for AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is just exactly how the human brain thinks, but at a scale which is 1,000,000 times bigger. Any questions here before we move on? Okay, so this is how it works.
Atif, just 1 second. Maybe there are some questions. The students take a little bit of time to unmute themselves and ask. So, and maybe they will type in the chat. So
Sure.
there is one question in the chat, I think.
Yes, so there's one question.
Yeah, so let me sort of finish this. I've read the question. I will come back to
Sure.
the question and answer that during the course of my discussion.
Sure.
Okay, so coming back to this. So this is how say mathematics and say prediction or works. If you look at the first series, I don't think any one of us could be wrong in predicting what is the next number in that series. A set of even numbers, it's an arithmetic progression. The next number 100% will be 22, isn't it? No, there is no doubt. It's an exact estimate. That's mathematics. The next one is not so straightforward, but if you plot these lines and build a line regression fit, you will get 25 as the most likely number. Now this 25 is not a sure short answer. It could be 26, it could be 24, it could be 27, but most likely it will be 25. That is what is statistically arrived at number. And statistical prediction is the base of all machine learning algorithms. That's how it is. If you see the next one, this is what you will see in autocorrect, autotype. If you write CHEM, most likely it will indicate an I, because after chem, 90% of the words, or probably 98% of the words after chem will follow an I. It is chemistry, chemical, things like that. But there might be chemo as well. So it can be O, which means now if you're typing CHEM, the computer has to, or any autocorrect mechanism has to make an assumption and say, okay, I should suggest I, because I 90% of the time I will be right. And that is what basically all machine learning algorithms do. They are never 100% sure of what the outcome will be, but they predict and push you towards the most likely outcome. That's how it is. This is exactly how a shopping cart addition also works. So if a customer has bought an Apple laptop, has bought a laptop cover, has bought Casper security antivirus, probably the most likely next addition could be an Apple mouse. That's but not everybody will buy it. But our past data suggests that people who did A plus B plus C, 70% of them bought an Apple mouse as well, and that is why I will suggest that. That's how recommendations work. However, if you have not had bought the laptop cover or the antivirus, maybe just a laptop, then probably the next likely product could have been different. So using the series of past data of a particular customers, but of a lot of customers who are similar to you, and predict future is what basic machine learning is. And we've been doing machine learning for maybe around 50 years now. It used to be called as a statistical prediction or others. Now it's essentially called, given a more fancy name, but that's pretty much what in fact a lot of you would have seen that movie Imitation Games, which Alan Turing's biographical, and that essentially is also machine learning. So yeah, any questions here before we try to bring machine learning and online shopping together? Let me just look at the chat window and see if
yes, so there are questions in the chat box.
So the career outcomes, we'll talk about it. I'll take accuracy, the question of accuracy, as we look at some of the use cases in this. Yeah. So if you bring the two together, the most important thing when you're shopping online is, as I said, the advantage of an online shop is the selection is huge. So the disadvantage is it's a very small app, and we have millions of products listed on our app. How do I really sort of, when a person comes in, how do I make that app personalized for that person's experience? So basically, if you see, when you come to an app, there are three ways, broad ways you can, and this does not depend, this is not only for Flipkart or Amazon. Whether you go to Swiggy, whether you go to Dunzo, any online e-commerce model essentially has three broad finding methods. There will be some merchandise on display. When you go to the app on Amazon, you will see some things listed. It's a sort of a moving merch card which keep on moving. That's very similar to the merchandise that you see when you pass through a Shoppers Shop or this. You will see some things which are essentially popular, trendy, or new products on that. That's there. The other way you can sort of discover products is you type, you say blue jeans, you say iPhone 12, and you will get the results what you get. And the third way is recommendations. If you go down, you will see inspired by your shopping trends, based on what you shopped, based on things that you left on your cart, things like that. So broadly, it is merchandise, search, and recommendation. These are things. Interestingly, if you see, this is exactly how you also discover products when you're shopping in a physical world. You get attracted by the merchandise on display. That is why the best selling products, every shopkeeper puts their best selling products on display. Search is what you talk and you inquire. You go and exactly state what are you looking for. That is what you do. And sometimes you go with an open-ended question. I am thinking of buying something. What would you recommend? Like, for example, if you're going trying to buy say a pair of shoes from Nike, there are some 40-50 options there. You are not too sure, you're not expert on shoes, so you will probably ask the guy, I'm looking for running shoes, what would you recommend? This is my budget. And there the shopkeeper or the store salesperson will start giving you. So the finding methods are same. And we just will see how they differ across the two. So I've taken a suits and sari shop, Sheesh Mahal. For those of you who've been from Aligarh, Sheesh Mahal Suits and Sarees is a very popular store in Aligarh, and comparing it how you look at an online world. So this is how a Sheesh Mahal store's front section looks like. They would have displayed their best suits, their this, and this is how AGO's say merch card looks. Now, the big advantage that AGO has here is Sheesh Mahal can, Arora ji can only sort of put 4 suits here, and these are the suits that will be on display every for the whole day for everybody who comes to the shop. They cannot change it whether I go in, because if I am going in, they would not want to put suits. They would want to put something which is relevant to a male shopper. But Arora ji cannot do that instantly, whereas AGO can do that if they know who the person is. So that's the big difference between this. The real estate for merchandise display for a retailer in an offline world is very limited. Changing that for every customer is very difficult. It's practically impossible. So you have to identify your target market. You will say that, okay, since most of my customer come here for buying ethnic suits, I will put ethnic suits of the range of 2 to 5,000 on that, because that is what people know me for. That's what Arora ji is doing. But an online retailer, I don't need to do that. I can say I am there for everybody. Whoever comes in, if I know enough about you, I will put on display exactly what you are looking for. So that's how it is. The same thing applies for search. Now, when typically, see, when you go there, you will go and sit in front of her. This is how you sit in front of the person, and you will say, "Sari dikhaiye mujhe." Isn't it? That's how your conversation starts. Now, the salesperson has to make a lot of estimates for you. He needs to take an estimate of what colors you would like, what patterns you would like, what price ranges you would pay. He can ask you questions, but sometimes people are also vague. They will say, "हाँ दिखाइए, जितना भी दिखाइए." So, but he still, you are actually judging that person's efficiency and how good options he shows. The same thing happens in an online world. Some people come and type very clear searches, but a lot of the searches, you will be amazed at the amount of generic searches that we have. People come and type blue jeans. They don't even say whether it's men, women. That's it. Now, if it is blue jeans, an online retailer has to now start thinking whether you are a guy or a girl, what brand preference you're looking at, what price range you're looking at, what patterns you're looking at. It is that's the decision, that because I might have 50,000 blue jeans available in the online world. I cannot show, and research shows that 90% of the people who buy blue jeans, they don't even know what color blue jeans are.
Atif sir, we are unable to hear you.
This, uh,
Simple examples. What is happening is you've typed blue jeans across 3 apps.
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
we lost. Sir, your voice was not coming. Like for like 2-3 minutes.
Is it better now?
yeah, it is better now. Actually, we lost you for last couple of minutes or so. So if there was something that you want to repeat on the previous slide, you could do that.
Okay, so let me just go back to that. Yeah, so I was talking about searching for products. There are, in an offline world, when you search for products, you sort of sit in front of a sales person, and you start off with something more generic. You will say, I'm looking for sarees, things like that. And based on that, the salesperson has to sort of make an assumption. What could your budget be? What could your color preferences be? What brands? Things like
Yeah.
that.
So, Atif sir, just to highlight, you mentioned this, and then you said that when people make searches on the internet, many times people are very generic, and you have to figure out what exactly they are looking for, and so that's where we lost you.
Yeah. So as I said, I mean, if you look at it, blue jeans is a very, very generic search. Now we have to sort of make an assumption on whether you are a guy or a girl. That's the first assumption. What could your budget be? What are the brand preferences? What could your color preferences? Things like that. Those are the decisions that we have to take. Because I will have, say, about 50,000 blue jeans on my platform, even if it's not 50,000, even if it is 10,000. And research shows that you will 90% of the customers will not go beyond the first 20 options that I show. So I have to sort of understand amongst the 10,000 jeans that I have, which are the top 20 that will be relevant for you. If I make a good sort of sorting or ranking algorithm and choose the right 20, I improve your chances of purchase. If I make it suboptimal choice, you will say, "Mujhe kuch mila nahi." Actually, a lot of people say kuch on online that you never find stuff. Most of the stuff is already there, but some people are able to find it, some people are not able to find it because search is not doing the job. So I'll just show you 3 things. How does it work? Of course, there are hundreds of factors that go into building relevance and ranking whenever a search is done and how we personalize this. But just to show you, the first one, actually, this app, you have shopped on this app. So basically, they know your gender, they know your past purchases, and they know your brand preferences. So when you put blue jeans, they are giving you options which are Levi's, which are, say, Tommy, which are, and they're giving you a certain budget. And that is why it looks much more relevant to you. It is personalized. The second platform just knows your gender. So probably the platform knows that you are a male, but does not You have not shopped for jeans ever from that platform. You probably have not shopped too much on clothes either. So they don't know too much of your past purchase behavior. They don't know your brand and price preferences. So in that case, what they will do is they will do exactly what Aurora ji had done. They will display the most popular 520 jeans that they have on the platform for guys to you. The third one is even worse. You are probably coming on the platform for the first time. They have no idea you are a guy or a girl. They probably they made some assumption that you are a girl, which is wrong. They actually had no past history. So they have again, so what they have done is they have given you sort of the top preferences, which would have been relevant for, say, a teenage girl or a young girl. That's what it is. Now, imagine you are a, say, 40-year-old male like me, and I have this search experience across the three. It's not very difficult to understand that I will intuitively like the first platform. I will say this platform understands me. That is the importance of how personalization works. All of them have the same products, but the first platform has been able to personalize, has been able to make it relevant for you, and that's why you like that platform. All of this is done by data science. I'll stop here and see if you have questions and to understand this problem a little better. Okay, so some of the questions I'll try to answer. The first question was on accuracy. Actually, if you will be surprised about the low levels of accuracy that we have. When a customer comes to the platform to buy jeans, could you make a guess on if 100 customers come on the platform, what would be the percentage of people who actually make the purchase? Any guesses? Someone can type here. Okay, I'll give you a ballpark number. It's around 5%. It essentially means no matter what you do, for 95% people, they're actually not going to buy. So essentially, and that is what, if you see, you talk to anybody in online, they say the notifications that we send, everybody says Flipkart mujhe ye bhejta rehta hai. I am not looking for buying a TV. I don't want to buy this. I want, which essentially means if the average probability of making a purchase is 5%, and for if you see for a TV purchase or a mobile purchase, the average probability is probably 1%. So no matter how much personalization I do, I can improve the probability of purchase from 1% to, if I make from 1% to 5%, I probably am the best data scientist that Flipkart would have. You imagine I am improving the odds from 1 in 100 to 1 in 20. That is phenomenal growth. I mean, that is crazy. But you know what? I am still, if the average propensity to buy was 1% and I have moved it to 5%, I am very proud of my algorithm. But you know what? 95% people will still say your algorithm sucks because it's not real. I don't want to buy this. That is why, if you see, no matter how successful as a data scientist you are in any field, when you talk to the man on the street, a common man always feels Flipkart does not understand me. Amazon does not understand me, because most of the people actually don't have an intent to purchase. And however, if you have come to the platform, Flipkart or an Amazon or any platform is bound to show you something. And that's why, if you see our search, our job is not to sort of make 100% relevant searches, because that is not the unlike Google. So when you go to Google, you actually go with the intent of consuming the search that you asked for, isn't it? You are, because otherwise there. But when you go to a retail, a lot of times you just go there without any intent. You just go and browse things like that. And which essentially our job is to maximize sales. help you make that decision faster. But if 95% of the people are not going to buy, no matter what you show, no matter what you do, there will still be questions about non-relevant content, non-relevant things like that. And so in that parlance, what every data science person does is to increase the odds. If the average probability to buy is 5%, I've done a good job if I make it 8%. 8% means 92% people are still not going to buy, which means that they were not very happy with what you showed them, whatever be the reason. So that's the limitation of this. The only piece is here algorithms measure you. The same problem Arora ji's salesman also has. He also, out of the 20 people that come to him, he probably closes one sale or two sales. But nobody is measuring the success rate. That's here. Everything is measured, and we try to keep on improving every things like that. So that's the extent of that. How complex algorithms are. See, algorithms, typically there is a journey that you do. When a platform starts, as I said, if you go to the page that I had, they evolve with data. And it's always a stage. So if I just knew your gender, and probably I had, say, 10,000 genes, 5,000 genes for men and 5,000 genes for women. If I just know your gender and nothing else, my search relevance will improve by 50% because now I have to choose only out of the 5,000 rather than this. That's a very simple personalization. If I knew your gender and age, so every factor that is being added to build a ranking algorithm is improving personalization, but also adding complexity because now the permutations are increasing. When it is gender, probably largely two genders, you could have other genders as well, but still largely three buckets. When it is gender and age, now you have three gender buckets, maybe 5 age buckets, now it is 3 cross 15. So you have now 15 buckets to personalize. You add affluence, you have 5 affluence buckets, now it is 75. So every variable that keeps on adding, it improves personalization, but it also increases complexity of the algorithm and complexity of the number of permutations of the day required. So you can imagine the complexity of, say, a Google search, because they use hundreds and hundreds of features. They use every word that you have typed, they things like that, and things like that. So that's the level of complexity. Typically, for say, the more I know about the consumer, the more complex and evolved the algorithm will be. It will be pretty evolved, but because on an average we use about 100 odd factors. So 100 odd factors, assuming each factor has, say, 5 options to choose from. I mean, it's 100 to the power 5. That's huge complexity. So complexities will be high. Okay, so coming to some other questions. How can people with non-technical background opt for fields like data science and business analytics? See, being quantitative is an advantage in this one. It is a sort of advantage in this because this is a quantitative field, but it is not my, I mean, in my team I have of course say 50% engineers, but there are people from multiple streams. There are people from commerce, there are people from economics, there are people from sciences as well. It's a very learnable skill. I mean, as I said, it requires a little bit of technical understanding, because at the end of the day, all data science sort of jobs will require coding. So you need to be comfortable with coding. That is a given. But I don't see any reason why non-engineers cannot be in data science. So it is engineers will have, people who are quantitative will have a head start, but others also can do it. Yeah. There's one more question. Self-learning algorithm. See, today, in the world of today, where e-learning and online learning is very easy, there are hundreds and hundreds of courses that you can do on learning algorithms, predictive algorithms, things like that. There are a lot of pieces. My view would be, again, Udemy has a lot of good courses. Coursera has a lot of good courses. Start small, understand concepts first, and then sort of build on those.
Atif, sorry to interject. Is this Shahid Afridi's question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I think the question really is about the algorithm itself and not about courses. So he is asking, right?
I'll take that. I'll take that. So, see, algorithms can be both static as well as dynamic or self-learning. Most algorithms today in, say, any tech product company are, we've moved out of static algorithms. I'll give you an example of static algorithm. A static algorithm is what we used to do many years back in banks. Whenever you apply for a credit card or say anything, there is a model that runs based on which that assesses your risk. It is a static model. It has weights. So if your income levels are above 10 lakh, it will give you plus 10 score. If you have never defaulted on other cards, it will give you another score. If you have a verified house, if you have own house, if you are working in a tier 1 company, things like that. So basically it has about 8-10 parameters. Each parameter is fixed. That's a static machine. It's still a machine learning model, but it is a static machine learning model. Which essentially means if suddenly a new variable comes which starts defining your behavior, that model will not be able to learn from things like that. Algorithms that work on, say, an Amazon search relevance or a Google search relevance or a product reco, actually they keep on learning from data every day. They so, for example, I'm just making it up. Till you bought iPhone 11, iPhones used to come with chargers. iPhones also used to come with earphones. So, which means when you buy an iPhone, the opportunity to attach a charger or a headphone is very, very limited, isn't it? Because it already comes in the box. But with iPhone 12 and iPhone 13, they've removed that. So automatically what will happen is, now if a person buys an iPhone 12, a very logical ad is the Apple AirPods. Now, if my model was static, it will never learn this, isn't it? So, which essentially means, I'm just giving you one simple example, but things change so much that in a retail world, if I have a static model, my things will never be relevant. So we will have models which sort of learn on the go. They keep on looking at it. Yeah, the rate of self-learning is defined based on the rate of change that happens. So there are some things which change every day, so which means the self-learning has to be on a daily basis. There are some things which might change in 3 months. There are some behaviors which do not change. So depending on that, things like if you see in fraud, models have to be very, very credit fraud. Models have to be self-learning, because fraudsters keep on evolving and understanding new ways to fraud. So any static model will fail. That's the idea. But there are other models in which some models stay pretty stable for months, even years. So it depends on what is the business problem you're trying to solve. If you are solving a problem where the drivers of that problem are not very, very sort of dynamic, a simple model will also. So because there is a cost of every self-learning algorithm. It takes more compute. every time you build in a model, you are sort of exposing that it could be just a transient trend. It is not a long-term trend. So things like that.
If you can stop sharing while doing the questions, stop sharing the screen. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Let me take Aman's question. See, if you are a beginner in the field of this, it's one of the options. You could start as a data analyst and gradually skill up to becoming a data scientist. But yeah, you could also sort of pick up, go through a course, whether it is a self-learned course or a professionally assisted course of data science, and directly enter into data science. Both options are equally doable.
So I think, if there are any other questions, this is your opportunity to unmute yourselves and ask. That this way we will directly hear from you. There is something in chat. I don't know. I think that has already been answered. Any other questions that anybody has? Yes, Jagrati.
Yeah, sir, I have a question, sir. Can I ask, sir?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, from today, like 3rd October, the big billion sale of Flipkart has started along with Amazon. Like for a week, they have started. And so I would like to know, sir, how Flipkart manages like tons of data every day for the big billion sale. Like I was trying to order a headphone for myself, and there was this message that came up that there's a heavy traffic on the app, and I should visit the app after some time for the order. So I would like to ask her, how do you manage the tons of data that comes daily, especially on these sales?
We cannot hear you.
In an ideal world, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. See, in an ideal world, we would never want sales or promotions like that, because a sale actually produces tremendous amount of stress on the system. It also, while deals in the sale are very good, and that is why people come, the consumer experience takes for a toss. If you go on any random normal day, the chance of what you just said happening are 1 in a million. It'll never happen. But on a sale, the chances of that happening are 1 in 100, which essentially means 99% of the transactions will go through, but there will be 1% people which will do that. So it essentially means the only piece is sale actually a lot of uplift. Every sale, what we see is in an under-penetrated e-commerce country like India, every sale brings in a new set of customers onto e-commerce, and that is why we keep on doing sales every year. In mature markets and things like that and all, sales are actually good from a deal perspective, but not very good from a consumer experience. People, because you will have these failures. See, we test the system for say millions of transactions and say more than 20,000 transactions per second. That's the limit, but there will be times where there will be some latency on the app. There can be a latency on the bank partner. So what is happening is you are able to buy the product, but when you're paying it through Axis Bank gateway gets jammed. So all of that can happen. We work months for this sale, but yeah, it is poor consumer experience. It happens. That's the cost that we have to pay.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Saqib, okay, next question for you is a non-technical background is not a sort of big hindrance as long as you are, see, coding is a little more intuitive to people who have a quantitative bent of mind. And as I said, a lot of machine learning is foundationally based on statistics and probabilities. So having those basics clear is an important piece. You still have a lot of codes that you can pick off the shelf on Python, Spark, and others. So today, nobody builds models per se the way we used to build, but a good data scientist understands the science behind, the statistics behind, the math behind those. So somewhere along the journey, you will have to sort of get those technical pieces.
Yeah, I mean, since this question has been repeated a couple of times, it is important to understand that you have to know probability and statistics.
Yeah.
So if your quantitative skills are such that, at least if your background is such that you do not have skills in that particular area, and if you do not have comfort in dealing with numbers, then this is really not a field for you, unless you sort of, develop those skills. Which obviously takes time. So you can't just become a data scientist doing a 1-month course on Coursera. Requires a bit more than that. But if you are, say, from an engineering background, or if you are BSc Math or physics or any of those, then you certainly have the background to be able to pick it up quickly and do the stuff. If you are like somebody with a BCom background, it depends on whether you have been exposed to statistics. If you haven't, but if you naturally have the acumen in terms of, good quantitative skills, comfortable with mathematics, etc., then clearly, this is an area that you would want to get into. And also, I think programming is important, not at the level of software development, but certainly you need to be able to be comfortable in Excel, R, and Python. So again, requires considerable effort to be a good data scientist. You can start small, maybe in business analytics, business intelligence, focus more on Excel, then gravitate towards some of these other things. But it only makes sense if you really like doing this type of stuff, right? You certainly don't want to try data science if you don't have any other option and you are trying to get a job. You need to have some basic ability there. And,
yeah.
Atif can correct me if I'm wrong.
A lot of people sort of want to try career. I'm being very transparent here, career in data science and all, because there's a lot of money in it. But there's a lot of money in boxing also. There's a lot of, but you will, everyone will not go into boxing before taking some preparatory view. You need to be strong, things like that. So just try to do that. You eventually, my 2 cents on this is, there are enough careers today. You don't need to be a data scientist to be in a tech firm. I mean, an e-commerce firm has fashion designers, it has salespeople, it has user interface designers, it has customer service reps, all of them. And you don't need to just be a data scientist. You should sort of, I know, I mean, a lot of people would have told you this, but you should largely try to do what you love to do, and then suddenly work will become easier. Otherwise, you will hate those 8-9 hours every day. If the only reason why you work, and I mean, we all work for the paycheck, it's not like we don't work for that, but if the only reason for you to show up at work is that paycheck that comes twice a month or once in a month in India, it's going to be a difficult 20-25 years. That's what you should look at it, irrespective of the value that is written on the paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, that I think is very valuable advice. There is one question I think which is relevant for many people here, Atif. This is about internships in the e-commerce space. And I guess, you don't have to go into the specifics of what Flipkart has to offer, but in general, in the entire space, based on your experience, what is the best way to prepare for internships? What type of opportunities might be available, etc., would be invaluable to this group?
So a lot of, and I'm speaking generally speaking, not just Flipkart, a lot of e-commerce firms or any tech firms, this whole startup ecosystem in India, the way they sort of select interns is through hackathons. Flipkart also does a lot of hackathons. So because see, I mean, data science is maybe we would have say 500 data scientists in Flipkart. If I were to look at software engineers, you would have 3,000 software engineers in Flipkart. So coding per se, whether you are a software developer or a data scientist, the best way for org like Flipkart to sort of gauge interest and strength is to give you a problem, run a hackathon and do that. So the hackathons are a very, very common way of doing that. We'll give you a common problem. And for example, in this whole, this could have been a problem. Like how do you personalize when somebody comes and writes a generic search? Now they will see how you problem solve it. They will give you some data on it. They will see what you can do with it. That's and the one who you don't have to build a very perfect model, but they will be able to assess how intuitively you are able to latch onto problems, what your problem solving is, and how you are able to see. It's not about the skill, which is just the math we can teach, but intuition and how you approach problems and all that comes with years of conditioning. I mean, people who solve problems versus people who keep sitting, you can't teach that in one day. And that's what essentially most hackathons try to assess.
So question, Atif, relevant to your answer is, how do we get to know about these hackathons?
Yeah, so see, Flipkart, I can speak a little bit about Flipkart, but a lot of say startups post hackathons. There are sites which post hackathons. You can get to that. Say Hacker Rank is one. There are multiple. I mean, you should do some Google searches. Try to identify. There are a lot of. Kaggle is a big another source where there are. So try first, go and do dummy hackathons. See problem solving. Once you get a little bit confidence, try to see that. There are a lot of websites that give you exposure to hackathons, both pure software development hackathons as well as data science related hackathons.
Other questions?
Yes, sir. So can I?
Atif.
Yes.
Sure.
Another Atif.
Yeah. You see, there is the growing trend in developing countries like India, and people are going towards these e-commerce sites, which kind of worries economists that it might destroy the informal economy of the developing countries, and in return it can create unemployment. What do you think? What is the option, or what is the alternative to these monopolistic gig economies who are taking position of informal sectors?
Yeah, every change will bring some disruption. When Henry Ford sort of designed the personal car, a lot of say you're taking away our jobs. When tractors were designed, the person who plows felt ke now to hamara kaam to tractor kar dega, hum kya karenge? But human race actually starts becoming more productive, and the people who will go out of business, they will effectively, if this works well, and I'm not saying there will not be challenges, like when cars were designed, when trains were designed, people who used to drive, the cartsmen actually lost their jobs, isn't it? So some disruption will be there, but wouldn't you say trains as a means of transport is safer, better than the Tongas? That is that there is huge efficiency, and efficiency is passed on to consumers. The train prices are lower than the Tanga. The journey in a train is better than the Tanga. Exactly, that is the thing. If done right, that is what e-commerce will bring. It will make prices cheaper for consumers. It will, and I'm not saying this because I work in e-commerce. I'm saying it because I genuinely believe automation and economies of scale are for the good of humankind. There will be things that will come which will take time to get solved. There will be challenges. Some people will lose, but eventually it will make human beings as a race more efficient, and people will do more productive. I'll give you an example. In India, when you go to a sort of a mall, there's a person who opens the gate when you enter your car, isn't it? What is the job satisfaction of that person? You could take a guess. There is no way that can do the job will do. It's the same repetitive job. You go outside in India, there's hardly anybody who mans the parking, isn't it? It's all automated. You do that and all. But if I were to automate that, you could argue, you could say, India, you took the jobs of hundreds and thousands of people who were doing this job. How is it right? But is that the right usage of human intellect? I don't know. So go back and think. There will be automation, there will be efficiency. It will cause some disruption, but if done right, it is for good of humankind. Human beings will move to things which are better suited for their mental brains, rather than just opening a. And I'm not demeaning that in any way. I'm just saying that you are much more capable of doing better things, rather than just opening an automated metallic door, which could have been opened by a push of a button.
Can I?
Atif.
Yes. So the informal economy of underdeveloping countries is around 80%. So if e-commerce takes the place of this very thing, don't you think it can create crisis, the unemployment crisis and other things as well? And what do you think these gig economies should do in order to avoid these crises and include this informal kind of economy in the industry?
The first thing is, see, e-commerce firms are marketplaces. So all of inventory that is there on Flipkart is actually not Flipkart owned inventory. It is thousands and thousands of sellers which are putting this. So while you can say that there is a risk of those e-commerce players provide a risk to smaller players, they are also providing a lot of opportunity for those to sell their products. So if you were a sari manufacturer sitting in Alwar in Rajasthan, how can you sell it to somebody in Bangalore? The only way you can sell it is through e-commerce. So there is a lot of positive. The other piece is, see, it will take India 10-15 years to reach from 80% informal economy to 60% informal economy. It's not a journey that will happen in 5 years. So the change will take over a period of time. The more the economy becomes formalized, the better will be the tax compliance, which essentially means you will get more money for infrastructure, for government spending, for public spending, things like you see. And I'm not trying. If you go to say any country in the Western world, actually the Western world has higher tax rates than India and higher tax compliance also. There is less informal economy, but why, if you take 10 people, 10 Americans and 10 Indians, who do you think would want to switch countries from India or America? You know the answer. So,
yeah, I mean, I think Atif, had an interesting question, but I really appreciate your answer. In particular, the important thing here is that it will take time for things to move. Technological innovation is relentless, and whether you like it or not, it is going to happen, and people have to adjust. That's how life is, right? Anything new displaces something old. People will be affected, and you cannot stop progress just because certain sectors will be affected. So over time, adjustment will happen. And the other aspect that Atif mentioned is that these are marketplaces. So there is opportunity for people to, move from one mode of living to another mode of living. And also for those who are present here, I think it also tells you that one has to have some eye on the future and see where the world is moving and how one can upskill or reskill oneself so that we are relevant for the world that is unfolding in front of our eyes. So that's, I think, the important point here. Other questions?
May I ask a question, sir?
Atif, yes, please go ahead.
Sir, thank you for this lecture. But I wanted to ask that do you see a shift in e-commerce spaces where the big platforms like Amazon or Flipkart, rather than having a single big vendor, have thousands of very small vendors? And a second question related to this is, are you transferring your mature data capabilities that you have developed to these smaller players so that the supply chain could be very efficiently managed, so that we do not see the crisis of supply chain that we are seeing today in 2021?
Yeah. So see, there are two broad sort of factors. There are benefits of consolidation and scale, which is why if you go to any world, a lot of things, industries are sort of they don't have it's a free market, but it's not really free. Like if you see in telecom, anybody can open a telecom, but practically across the world in any economy, you will have 2 or 3 telecom players, which essentially means for smooth efficiency, there has to be some competition, but not too much of competition. Too much of competition also drags the industry down. You've seen, and don't read it as I am trying to propose a way. That's the way naturally it happens. I had nothing to do with the consolidation of telecom. I mean, 10 years back, you had 8 players of telecom. Today, there's just 3. So there is a strong angle that consolidation brings. However, as you said, there is a strong benefit that decentralization and having a nimble footing also does. And that is what, if you see, most e-commerce players are trying to do. We are trying to partner with a lot of kiranas, and not just Flipkart, whether it is Agio, whether it is Swiggy, whether it is Amazon. We understand the better we partner with the informal economy, the better it's a win-win for both of us. So, as you rightly said, see, if we have to deliver products in 30 minutes, we cannot be there everywhere in India, which means we have to take the help of the local kiranas. Kiranas are there every 1 kilometer of human population, there will be a kirana, isn't it? Everyone. It's not possible not to have a kirana. Which means that if we make these kirana stores our logistic partners, they can earn some money. They know the area very well. They can earn money, and we don't need to invest so much in everywhere. So that partnership will evolve. That's the future that we foresee. That's why there's so much partnership there, and that's the advantage of decentralization. You will be able to partner faster without huge investments.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like the JD model, right? Online to offline type of thing. So, other questions? I have a question for you, Atif, while they think of other questions.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I, this is just about your journey in some sense. And so if you look back at your journey, many of these kids here are kind of like, in a place where you were some X number of years ago. From the same ecosystem, we are talking of Aligarh Muslim University, Jamia, similar places. So they have, in fact, you are a perfect role model for them. in many ways. And so I want to see, if there is some word of advice that you can give in terms of how to sort of, think of their life and how to maximize their potential. This is a very general question. So we're not looking for anything specific, obviously, but anything that you can give to them in terms of word of advice, motivation, what has been factors that have led to your success, anything that they would benefit tremendously from that.
Yeah. So I think the first piece is if you had asked me 20 years back, say 17 years back, what would have my career have been in 15 years? Or there is a lot of people who ask now, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I had no clue. So it's okay to have no clue. Very few people are very sorted, and they have a view of what their next 15 years will look like. And amongst them also, for very few, it really happens that way. So a lot of things happen, opportunities come in your way as and when you sort of evolve. What sort of my advice to people like you would be, try to go for a field which you like and which works towards your interest and strength, rather than sort of what everybody is doing. I'll tell you what, when I was in AMU, when I was passing out, at that point, advertising was a huge craze in AMU. A lot, because some of our seniors were doing well in advertising. So suddenly it felt that, you should do your internship in advertising, you should try and make your career in advertising. Because advertising is glamorous as well. You write copies, you write, but things like that. So, but don't follow that. And maybe data science today is what advertising used to be 18 years back in my thing. But everybody cannot be a creative copywriter. Some people find creative lines very well. Some people do not find creative lines. So there is no shame in sort of accepting that. You should try and find what you really like. And I'm telling you, I'm not making it up. Your chances of success is much, much higher if you are in a field which you like to do. So that's what it is. Start. Now coming to how careers. Okay, I'll just answer the question that Zoha has asked. Probably it's also explained my journey. See, I was, I'll be very candid. I mean, you guys are from Jamia and AMU. These are very good institutes, but to be honest, you don't get data science roles very clearly coming to your institutes in placements, isn't it? And if you put back 17 years, hardly anybody came for placement. So getting an analytics role in 2003 or 4 when I passed out was next to impossible. So I started my journey as a data analyst. I'll tell you the difference between what a data analyst is and what a data scientist is. A data analyst shares data and information to people. They answer questions like, for example, like the big billion day sales is going in Flipkart these days. So every hour we need to know how many units were sold for what product, how many customers came from UP, how many customers came, how many were men, how many were women. This is a data analyst role. What you have to do is you have to run a SQL query and you have to fetch data and present it in a format. You will say, okay, 2 lakh mobiles sold, 1 lakh laptops sold. There is no prediction or science in this. It is just information produced in a very simple way for the leadership to make a decision, for business to make a decision. That is what a data analyst does. However, a data analyst needs to be able to write codes which can extract data, processes, and present it in a way that management or business can consume. I started my career from that. That's how it is. And over a period of time, because it was from my so once you start looking at data, I started making recommended, hey, why don't we do this, why don't we do that, and then you get small projects, you say, okay, why don't you run this analysis, things like that. And over a period of time, I started graduating to more and more. It helped that I knew coding. It also helped that I was an engineer, so I had a math background. And over a period of time, that journey from a data analyst moved towards data science. So data science essentially, and Zoha, to your question, is we consume the data and information that data analysts provide to make business decisions, to make project predictions about what could be in the future. So data is how many phones were sold in the last 1 year. That is factual. वो change नहीं हो सकता. Data science is, so based on this, how many phones are going to be sold in the next 1 hour? That is data science. Because wo question, and who will get more money answering how many phones were sold last hour versus how many phones will sell next hour. You understand where is the value of that question for the future hour is much more difficult. That is why the job is more difficult, and that is why it pays more. You got the difference?
Beautifully put, by the way. So, I mean, in fact, your whole talk was very, very, interesting, and I really enjoyed it tremendously. I think we are almost moving towards the end. I think Rajat had his hand up once briefly. So, if you have a question, Rajat, if he is still here. Okay. So I think any other questions?
May I, sir, a small one?
Pucho, Atif.
Sir, with many startups getting success on platforms such as Flipkart and Amazon, what differentiates them from their peers with respect to the utilization of data and utilization of data models?
See, there are while there are many startups that you see today, just going through that, between 1998 till 2020, in 22 years, India had 38 unicorns, which is $1 billion company. In the last 1 year, we've already had half of them. So what took 20 years is now going to take, so there is a lot more appetite today and all. However, I think there are three broad tenets that make startups successful. One is, they should be solving for some essential consumer need. They should not be here just because it is cool. So you should not try to become the next Swiggy. Swiggy is already there. You have to come up with solving one more different problem. Just because you feel India itna bada hai ke do Swiggy, no. India, no matter the size of the country, there will only be one Swiggy. The rest will be copies. So that is the first thing. Your idea, your problem solution should be unique and that. The second piece is data. If you are...
so we are having some trouble listening to you, Atif.
Sorry, is it better now?
Bandwidth issue, I think. Maybe if you can switch off your camera, it might be easier.
Hi, is it better now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So what I said was a lot of companies have very good products, but they really don't use data well. They're not using what consumers are asking. You could build a great platform from a user interface, everything, but the best user interface without, say, search relevant is going to be useless. So that is the second piece. And the third piece, which essentially a lot of people don't look at, is you could have a great business model. Kingfisher was a great example. They had huge, amazing consumer experience. They were solving a good business problem, but they were extravagant. So having your finances under control is the third most important reason. So business models can fail because, I mean, Kingfisher is a classic example. To those of you, I mean, some of us have traveled in Kingfisher Airlines. It was the most superior customer experience from all Indian airlines. Amazing experience at very good prices, but they could not make it sustainable. So you could have a great business model, you could be a great data scientist, but if you are burning money, you're not very good with the money, still you will not fail. So those are the three things broadly you have to look at.
Thanks, Atif. One last point, and then I think we should end. It's already quite late in India. So any other nuggets of wisdom in terms of how they could improve on a daily basis? Any particular habits of yours that you think they could potentially adopt? Okay, he's unable to hear.
I am unable to hear.
Okay, yeah. So what I was saying was that we are about to end. Is there anything that you can nuggets of wisdom that you can give them in terms of any particular habits of yours that they could adopt so that they can improve their chance of success in life in general, not just analytics, data science, or e-commerce in particular? Okay, looks like it is raining very heavily in Bangalore, so network issues are happening. So I guess if Professor Raila Farooqi can add something at the end, or Naushad Malik Saab can add, we will, I think, begin the process of ending this particular thing.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yes,
I think it was quite an insightful session. I had to hop off for some time because somebody had just come. Any students have any question they can ask? I don't know. I think some issue with Atif.
Yeah, so I think everybody, I think most of the students who wanted to ask have asked, and so I think
yes, I think most of the things have been covered.
Actually, what Atif said, very rightly said. And in India, a lot of change and startups, things are coming up. Even in retail, if you are talking of online, offline, a lot of things are being done in South. What they are doing, they are trying to utilize the technology and building this supply chain for small units. And that is where Kirana and all, like even Reliance and some more people are helping them with the software. And I think a new model might sprang up, as in even in Europe and things like that. There is a lot of corporatization going on. Cooperative things are going on in Europe, which they tried to succeed. No, in India, cooperative played a big role, but it went into the backhand. Either we see the success of Amul and others, but it went on the backside. A lot of things in South, especially, what is happening. A lot of retails, they are being given support in technology and supply chain. So because they are, if you see the mom and pop stores and Kirana stores, a lot of they have low cost. And but the only thing is since there is a lack of education and things like that, they are not able to translate that. So they are learning more on the back end side and inventory side. And if you see either offline, online, the best part is going on in the inventory management system. So a lot of support some software companies are trying to do, and something is emerging, when we see from the articles coming up in Bangalore and some places, even Reliance is trying, though not certain shaping up has not come up, but there are small organizations which are trying, which I see it will be very good. With the brick and mortar and Flipkart and things going on, there is a tacit change in the market. And we see segmentation, offline, online, both will remain in India, because since we have big markets. So that is
Thank you, Naushad sir. So I think, Jagriti, let's end this thing now. Atif, you have any last words before Jagriti finishes?
Just want to sort of thank you all and wish you luck. These are probably the times when you will enter the career or job market will be much more exciting from what opportunities we had, say, 18, 20 years back. Of course, I do also recognize that the competition and the expectation levels from you guys are much higher, but
no, your talk was very intriguing, Atif, and very nicely explained and very nicely answered. And it is a rare opportunity for the students, certainly, from the experience of yours, and certainly it will be very beneficial. And your words of wisdom, certainly it will hold very good.
Yep. So do well, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Atif. Really appreciate your very, very insightful and interesting session. Jagrati, yes.
Yes.
Last word.
Yes, sir. So I would like to thank you, Atif, sir, for your insightful session. And I really found the difference between data analyst and data scientist. I really, the concept was cleared at once. And I really thank you on behalf of everyone who joined. So you could take some time out and give us such information. And so I would also like to thank you, Ansari sir, for arranging such a great session for us. And thank you, everyone, and good night from my side.
Okay. Wonderful. So I think we will wind this up. Khalil, sir, if you can do it.